Hello and welcome back to our Switchmas event, our 12-day countdown with discussions until the January 12th event for the Nintendo Switch. And today is day 4, and we're going to be talking about the controllers, specifically the Joy-Cons, and then we'll get to the Pro controllers. And as always, this is an unscripted, unedited discussion video, so I apologize if there's any mistakes in my speech, but you know, this is unscripted. I want it to be a natural discussion, and tell me what you guys think in the comment section below after the video is done, of course. And let's get into the controllers. So the Joy-Cons, as we've seen, do look a tiny bit small in the hand, but I honestly think that's only going to be true for people kind of like me who have huge hands. And but for most people, it'll probably be okay. I don't think it'll be big in anybody's hands. I very much doubt that, except for maybe like children. But I think by themselves, they'll be okay in the hand. They won't be amazing. Of course, they won't be anything like using a regular controller, but I think it'll be okay. And from what we've seen in the videos that has been released, the initial trailer, people who've been holding the Joy-Cons been pressing, like when they're holding it lengthwise, pressing on the back of it, so it looks like there's triggers on the Joy-Con. We don't know yet, it hasn't been confirmed, but the overall layout just seems decently nice. I mean, it kind of almost reminds me of an NES controller, but kind of different buttons too. It's weird. I feel like it's an NES controller, but there's almost nothing about it that's an NES controller. There's not even a D-pad on most of them. There's just, well, I guess, no, there's sticks on them. So, yeah, I guess, I don't know why I think it looks like an NES controller, but to me it just does. And I think the battery life on them, I'm just going to take a wild guess. There's almost nothing to support this. I think it'll be around 10 to 20 hours of use per Joy-Con. And then my only issue with the Joy-Cons and the base controller it comes with, where you can attach both and make it like a regular controller, which looks fine. Initially, I thought it looked horrible, but it looks fine now that I look at it, because when you hold it, it looks like it feels like an Xbox One controller, even though it doesn't look like one. It's going to feel like one in the hand, which is perfectly okay with me then. But anyways, I don't know how you're supposed to charge that, because that's supposed to charge the Joy-Cons. But I don't know how that gets charged. We haven't seen a dock for that part. We haven't seen it plug in. We haven't seen a plug on it. So I don't know how it's supposed to charge the Joy-Cons. And then the Nintendo Switch device, obviously itself can charge the Joy-Cons too. And I'm hoping the Joy-Cons don't take too much power from it. Or maybe they don't take it at all when it's plugged into the Nintendo Switch itself. It just completely shuts off, and it's because it's hardwired in, and it doesn't draw power at all. It doesn't charge it at all, and it just acts as a controller on a local basis. So it's just plugged in, and there's no charging whatsoever. I doubt it'll be like that though. I'm sure it'll just charge it because it's intended to take one off, give it to your friend while you're on the go. But I don't understand how you're supposed to charge that base Joy-Con connector controller thingy, whatever the hell it's called. And I mean, that's kind of concerning, because I don't know how long that's gonna last either. They're gonna have to come out with a lot of battery related news on the 12th, because there's so many things that they need to tell us how long the battery's gonna last for. They need to tell us how much the Switch device itself will last for, the Joy-Cons by himself will last for, the Joy-Cons on the pad will last for, and how long the charges on those pads will last for. So maybe 4 full 2 Joy-Con charges, if that makes any sense. So you plug in both Joy-Cons on the Switch accessory that makes it into one solitary controller. Maybe it charges both of those Joy-Cons 4 times before it needs to be recharged. We don't know at all at this point. And then the Wii U, or not the Wii U, I almost want to call it the Wii U Pro controller, because it looks kind of the same as a Wii U Pro controller, just more sophisticated. And that's the Switch Pro controller, obviously, and there's not much to say about that one. It's translucent. I mean, yeah, I don't really like translucent controllers, but, you know, I'd be willing to live with it. And it looks mostly like a Wii U controller anyways, the Pro controller. So I'm 100% okay with that, because the Pro controller to me was fine. It's nothing mind-blowing. Hopefully this is a lot better in terms of just how it feels in the hand, even if there's nothing feature-wise that new about it. And hopefully it's just an improvement over the Pro controller from the Wii U, because the Wii U Pro controller, I personally think the only thing I had a problem with it is that it was too glossy, but everything that was made for the Wii U was too glossy. The gamepad, the console itself, everything was made too glossy. And then the triggers were kind of stiff, and they weren't analog, they were digital, and they they just didn't feel nice. So I hope they fix the triggers too and they make them real triggers. They were basically buttons on the back. They weren't even really triggers. They didn't have any depth to them. So hopefully they fix that with the Pro controller. And then finally, the Switch controller, as when I say that, I mean the Switch unit itself with 2 Joy-Cons plugged in. That looks like it's going to be just like a Wii U gamepad, but better. Hopefully it fits better in the hand. And the Wii U gamepad, as chunky and bad as it looks, was actually pretty good in the hand. So hopefully this is the same thing but lighter, because the Wii U gamepad, I mean, for me, I never have a problem using the gamepad for long amounts of time, but I know some of my friends, they just get, like, their hands just get overcrowded and they start to hurt because of the gamepad. So hopefully, because this is thinner and lighter and maybe smaller depending on the screen size, might be bigger actually, I do think that it will fit better in the hand at least, especially a thinner part, because that just means you can have a better grip on it versus the big chunky one, which is it's matte on the back but the glossy on the front, so it's a little bit slippery too. So this whole thing appears to be matte, so hopefully the grip will be a lot better too. And then down the road, I'd like to see more Joy-Con-ish type adapters. So what I mean by that is some people have come up with, like, oh, what if you made 2 GameCube adapters for the GameCube Virtual Console or for Smash or something like that? Or what if you made, well, I can't even think of any other ones. Some people have made like NES ones and all this. I don't think an NES would work on that, but to have like Joy-Cons that do specific things would be really cool. Even if it's not a full-on controller, like maybe you attach a card reader for some damn reason that it reads Amiibo cards, or it reads your credit card or some shit like that. I don't know. I'm just brainstorming this off the top of my head, but you know what I mean. Stuff that has literal functionality over being a controller. That would be amazing. I don't know what they would do, but it would have to depend on games, and hopefully games would be made with that in mind versus what they've done with Amiibo sometimes, which is make the game and then go back and then add support, which is very lackluster. A great example of that is Captain Toad Treasure Tracker, which literally there was no reason to have Amiibo support in that game ever besides to sell the Toad Amiibo, but I digress. The controllers for the controller opportunities for this console are amazingly high, because you can do anything you want since it's modular, and they can. I hope they do take advantage of that idea, and I hope they encourage their third-party partners to take advantage of that idea with their games, and maybe that'll sell more third-party games on the console, because I know the gamepad was a feature for the Wii U that they tried to get developers into, and they tried a little bit third-party developers, and then it never really worked except for like a few games. So hopefully they tell developers, hey, you know, we got this great modular feature and we hope you'll make hardware specifically for it, and hopefully it'll work very well. Like the Skylanders portal, maybe they make a Skylanders portal, assuming they're going to keep making Skylanders, that just slides onto the side of the Nintendo Switch. That would be awesome. So I would love to see those kinds of attachment. And overall, I think these controllers are going to be fine. As I said before, the 2 Joy-Cons on the base, you know, connector one that makes it one controller, looks like it's just, even though it looks like it's uncomfortable, if you look at the back, it kind of curves out like an Xbox One controller, so it looks like it's just going to feel like a regular controller in the hand, so that should be completely fine. And then when it's plugged into the Joy-Con for on the go, it looks like it's going to be a better, lighter Wii U gamepad, which is important because this is you're taking this out of the house, where just the gamepad is in the house, you're sitting down and playing it. You could be playing this on the go, in the subway, whatever. So you need to have that portability factor, and I think it's going to have that considering how light it looks and how thin it is. And then the Pro controller is nothing new, really. I don't think it's going to be, at least if that's the final design, which it probably is, except for maybe the translucent plastic. I could see that being a prototype thing. So other than all of that, I think that Pro controller is going to be mostly the same with enhancements, which I'm okay with. A little bit of a letdown, but you know, as long as it's a little bit better than the Pro controller in terms of its triggers and the plastic that they use on it, I'll be completely fine with it. And overall, I think in terms of games, a lot of people didn't like the gamepad. Well, now they don't have to use the gamepad, and especially when they're home, if they don't ever want to take this thing out, that is 100% up to them. They don't ever have to take this out, and they can just use it as a home console with the Joy-Cons. And I think the Joy-Cons are really innovative, and they're really going to get people back into multiplayer gaming, because I know when my friends come over, a lot of the time we have controller problems because there's too many of us and not enough controllers. Well, with the Joy-Cons, you get 2 straight out of the box that can be made into 1 when you need to, but can be made into 2 when you don't need to. And that means when you have 4 Joy-Cons, you can have 2 controllers if you're co-op, 2 full controllers, or you can have 4 people who are all playing one game. And hopefully that doesn't stagger support for each game, meaning this game will use standalone Joy-Cons, this one won't. Hopefully they'll have some way where developers can make it so every game will run with one Joy-Con, even if it has to be slightly modified. And hopefully the support for the Joy-Con as a single controller will be 100% or at least 90% across all the games made for the Switch. But you guys, tell me what you guys think in the comment section below about the controllers. If you agree with me, disagree with me, if you have something to add, if there's a new rumor, all that good stuff. Otherwise, be sure to subscribe for more of these Switchmas discussions and for more news and reviews on a daily basis from Switch Daily. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!